All right. We good? Whoa.
You ready?
Yeah.
All right. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of The Sideline. My name is Rishioza,
My name's Asher Hire.
and it's been a bit. We missed a couple of weeks, but we are back, and there's a lot to talk about. We're going to keep it, we're talking before, we're going to keep it Denver focused. So we're going to talk about what the Broncos need to do going forward, what they need to look for, trade deadline, and what they have to do to come out of this next 3-game stretch, which is the biggest stretch, I think, of the last, 5 years, probably 4 or 5 years that Denver has had. Latest they've ever been 2 games over 500 since 2015 or 16, I believe. So this is a big stretch for them coming up, and we're gonna talk about the Nuggets. They just got their first win of the year over the
We
Toronto Raptors. Talk about what we've seen from the first 3 games and what we got to look for seeing forward, because there's so much. Not the Nuggets, there's a lot
mhm.
already that has gone wrong in 3 games. So we will. You want to start with the Broncos?
Yeah, we can start with the Broncos.
All right,
Uh,
we'll start with the Broncos. A good win against Carolina. 28-14 was the score. They were much better than 14 points. Like they were better. That score does not show how dominant of a victory it was. After the first drive, where Lil Jordan Humphrey fumbled, Denver was just all over Carolina. Defensively, they really stepped it up, forced a couple turnovers, and offensively, the run game wasn't really working at all. But the the pass game, this was the first game where I looked at Bo Nix and I'm like, okay, I see it now. Like, you could see the improvement that he's had all kind of come together in this game. He was making good deep passes, he making quick reads, his footwork looked really, really good. Just over the last couple of games, the last 2 wins, which have, albeit the last 2 wins they might be the fakest wins of all time. It's against the most injured team I've ever seen in New Orleans on a short week, and then against probably the second most injured team I've ever seen, the Carolina Panthers at home. So, but just out of these last 2 games, following that Chargers loss, that one was brutal. Following that Chargers loss, what have we learned from the Broncos 8 games in?
yeah, I mean, you bring up that great point. It's the badly injured New Orleans Saints missing, their entire offense. No Olave, no Shaheed, no Derek Carr. It's basically just the Alvin Kamara show, and their defense just can't tackle. I mean, they weren't even playing like a real NFL team, defensively in that game and in the game beforehand. They look better this week against the Chargers, but it's the Saints and the Panthers, but it's a good sign that they're winning by a lot. And both of these scores could have been way, uh, bigger of a margin than they ended up being, especially that Saints game. Bo Nix, missed multiple touchdowns. I feel like the Broncos could have put up 50 in that game if they wanted to. And then, yeah, as you said, in the Panthers game, it was 28-7 for most of the game. The third quarter, they kind of brought that up in the post game interviews. They just don't really like how they ended that game offensively. Um, you know, Obviously they're probably not taking as many shots being up that much, but they were still throwing it around with Bo Nix. But not really getting in the end zone there. They tried that fake field goal, which was interesting. But yeah, I mean, going back to Bo Nix, I agree with you. I thought this was the best that he's looked in his NFL career. I thought it's the best he's looked since Tampa Bay. People kept on saying like, "Oh, Bo Nix is steadily improving, steadily improving." I'm like, I kind of disagree with that. Like, it didn't really. I don't know. Like, he had that really good game against the Buccaneers, and then a horrible game against the Jets. The Raiders game, he wasn't too good. The Chargers game, he was all right. The Saints game, he wasn't that good. So it's just like, is he really improving? Not really. His footwork was still off in the Saints game. This is the first game that I've seen serious improvement. Um, I mean, like, it doesn't even matter that it's the Panthers. His footwork was a lot better. His accuracy was tremendous, especially in the intermediate part of the field. All of a sudden, check down merchant Bo Nix is top 10 in the league in air yards. He's not a check down merchant. This dude lets it rip, in the intermediate range. And his stat line could have been way better. Troy Franklin catches on or catches that ball. If Lil Jordan doesn't fumble, if Cortland doesn't fumble in the end zone. So, man, I mean, this could have been a 5 or 6 touchdown game for Bo Nix. And he played well enough, like, to represent that. So, um, terrific improvement by Nix, which is great to see going in this tough stretch.
Yeah, yeah. Like you said, that steadily improvement. It was like, to me, I could see like one or two things that would improve like per game, but it wasn't anything. It was like it was so slight. Like he was maybe a little more willing to pull the trigger, right? Or he wouldn't take as long to get out of the pocket. Um, the pocket maneuverability has always been good. That hasn't been an issue so far this season at all. It's been a strength, if anything. Um, but yeah, I agree with you. This was a game where everything kind of came together. The footwork was like I don't recall a throw where he missed it because of his footwork. There was
Right.
maybe like one or two straight up bad throws. There was one where he was trying to hit Cortland Sutton and the throw was a little bit behind him. But regardless, it was still good coverage. I don't. It wasn't bad, but throwing on the run, he was really good today. Hit Cortland Sutton a couple times on the run. Touchdown Atkins was on the run. He had a throw to Valet, who I mean, he should probably take a decent chunk of Lil Jordan Humphrey's snaps going forward. I mean, he is essentially just Tim Patrick. It is kind of insane. They just drafted another one of him. Um, we have to see. I don't know how good of a blocker he is yet. I don't think there's been enough reps for that, but he looks great and he catches everything. But Nick's made a really good throw to him. And yeah, he looked comfortable. He looked confident. He was letting it rip down the field. But by far the most deep shots that we've seen the Broncos dial up in a game. And he was perfect on like every. There was one he overthrew Sutton on a deep ball, but I mean if he doesn't overthrow him, it's probably a pick. So it's probably good that he did that. Where there was two defenders there over the middle of the field. But I mean, I can remember the one Little Jordan Humphrey had one go through his hands. Marvin Mims just wasn't looking at the ball for another one. Troy Franklin another one that just went straight through his hands. He finished with 284 yards on 28 of 37. That could have easily been like 350 on like 31 of 37. And you're looking at that like, holy cow, 350 yards, 3 touchdowns, no turnovers, and a rushing touchdown. Like that's one of the better quarterback performances overall on the season. So he really really uh impressed me that like and this is I think kind of the difference this year versus previous seasons with Denver. They're like yeah, the Raiders were a bad team. They had to beat them up. They did. Saints are a bad team. They had to beat them up. They did. Panthers are a bad team. They had to beat them up, and they did. These teams where they're supposed to pounce
Right.
on them, they're doing it, and that's not something that we can say previously. I don't even think
It
last year's Broncos
yeah.
were the same head coach, a lot of the same personnel. They were not. They wouldn't have done this at least.
Right. I mean, it reminds me of like college teams going, playing weak teams. It's like, oh, here's Alabama's test at Vanderbilt, let's see how bad they could beat them. And then,
Yeah,
boom. But that's how it goes. I mean, same thing with like Ohio State, Nebraska this week. Nebraska was up. So Ohio State looks bad because they didn't beat them by, a lot. And the Broncos showed that, going against these bad teams, that they can beat up on them. So, we get the real test here. I mean, at Baltimore, at Kansas City is wild. Um, and then you get the Falcons, at home too. Yeah, you brought up Vele as another receiver that I think should get um, more playing time, more snaps, more targets than Lil Jordan Humphrey, and I completely agree. And then I also think like the trade market, like it's the first time in a long time that you've ever thought of the Broncos as maybe potential buyers at the trade deadline. I would wait until after the Baltimore game because if you get blown out against Baltimore, just wait a little. Just wait one more year before you go all in. Just play this year out. Because if you get blown out against Baltimore, it's a good litmus test against the top of the NFL. Um, But if you hang in there against Baltimore, if you potentially win, then yeah, man, I'm all over Deontay Johnson. I'm all over Mike Williams or Adam
David
Thielen maybe.
David
uh
Njoku.
or a tight end.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. And
yeah,
Joku would be, I feel like maybe too expensive, but
yeah. I
like
agree.
Jawan Johnson is a guy, you just trade like a 6'4" probably. Former Saint, or current Saint, could be former Saint. So there's options there too, which I think they do need to capitalize on if they look good against Baltimore. But I don't think you
Yeah,
should be complete buyers right now, considering you could lose your next 3 games and be 5-6.
yeah.
and
That
and boom,
that's
there
a
goes
great point.
another draft pick.
Yeah, no,
So
that's a phenomenal point. Like, this is the easy part of Denver's schedule, which is crazy because they have played some good teams. Tampa's a good team. New York at the time was a good team. I'm still gonna stand by that. That was a good win.
yeah,
Like that that win has like caused the downfall of that entire franchise seemingly. Um, but Pittsburgh is a good team. They're beating the Giants right now. Russell Wilson just made like one of the best throws he's made
I
in a
saw
long
that.
time.
Yeah,
Seattle is. I think they're a good team. I know they're not playing that well right now, but on the road and if a rookie's first start against Seattle, that's a hard that's a hard matchup to have. So they've played some good teams,
the
and I
Buccaneers.
think yeah,
Good.
yeah, Tampa like on the road as well. There are some teams that they've played that are good, but this is like Ravens and Chiefs back to back. These are the two teams. They're the two teams I trust most to win the Super Bowl right now. I don't trust anybody in the NFC. The only teams I trust in the AFC are the Ravens and the Chiefs. Even though yes, the Ravens lost to Cleveland, which I think, by the way, might be the worst possible outcome for Denver because now Baltimore's going to come out so ridiculously angry against Denver at home.
And I
Like,
also think all of a sudden that Browns game in December becomes a lot harder with Winston in
yeah,
there.
yeah, legitimate. Like without
Like,
Deshaun Watson,
dude,
like
this is the
actually,
thing. The Browns with that good defense, obviously in Joe Nick Chubb, their running game is going to be good. They're going to have a good defense. They're at 6 losses, but they're going to be that team. And man, if it's the Broncos that they just beat, like they're going to be that team that ruins multiple teams' playoff hopes. And they're already doing it
yeah,
with the Ravens division hopes. They just
yeah,
did.
yeah.
Like
It,
that team is
it's
going to be scary at the end of the year, I think.
that's what I'm saying. Like, there's not a cakewalk team on the schedule
Yeah.
left for Denver.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
Vegas, maybe, but Denver sucks in Vegas. They haven't won in
Colts,
Vegas
Colts
ever.
maybe.
Colts is a maybe, but it's kind of the same thing with them. It's like if they're playing Joe Flacco,
Right.
that's a legitimately good team. But if they're still
Yeah.
playing Anthony Richardson, you have a chance. They saw the Chargers on the road now, and that's a different looking team than the one that you saw last year. A team that you swept. So you still have to play the Chiefs one more time. You have to play the Bengals as well, who are looking a lot better than they were at the beginning of the year. So like there are some hard games coming up, specifically this 3 game stretch. This is the stretch where you're gonna figure out if this team is legit or not. So I'm with you there. Like depending on that result, then you go for it. There is no reason to waste at. This is still a rebuilding team. The fact that they're 2 games over 500 at this point is a major overachievement at this point in the season. So if they're close with Baltimore, then you can think, okay, going forward, what can we do? And I'm sure they're already thinking of that. They already have guys who they want to target going forward, weapons wise. And you got to find someone who fits a timeline. You have to find someone who's not going to be expensive and someone who's not expiring, which is not a lot of guys. And Deontay Johnson, I feel like, is one of them. He's possible, who fits a timeline, who you can build chemistry with going forward. Adam Thielen would be nice, but I don't think he adds anything to this roster that isn't already there in terms of slow contested catch
Yeah.
receivers. Um, but like a tight end help would be nice. And Joku is kind of a pipe dream. Kyle Pitts is not happening anymore. I know early in the season, Denver fans were like, "Oh my God, Kyle Pitts is good. Go get him. Go get him." No, he's not going to be there.
Yeah.
Juwan Johnson is Juwan Johnson is a good shout. Broncos fans are clamoring for Mark Andrews early in the season. That's also not going to happen anymore. Um, so there, yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I'm with you that just wait. Like there are guys out there, but you just have to wait and see.
Yeah.
have to
Um,
wait and see.
one trade that I think will happen, I think Baron Browning's gone, and I think it needs
Yeah,
to happen too. Unfortunately, I really like Baron Browning, and I always thought he had like a ton of potential, but the injuries have stacked up against him pretty bad. Nick Benito's taken over his spot. Like it's now clearly Benito and Cooper, and then obviously you got Jonah Ellis still back there. So I mean, it's just a depth thing with Baron Browning. Plus
yeah.
he's on an expiring contract, so
And
I
he
mean,
just
what's
never
the
stay
point of keeping
healthy.
him? Yeah,
Yeah, like you got to extend one of him or Cooper, and I feel like it's very easily gonna has to be Jonathan Cooper. He's been very good this season, and he's healthy, and that's the biggest thing. Baron Browning, he's like he is very good. He has incredible athleticism. The fact that he was able to pretty much flawlessly move from middle linebacker to an edge rusher in one season and still be just as good at that position
yeah.
is very, very impressive. But you cannot.
Yeah, I thought
He's just taking.
he's like a Micah Parsons very light.
Yeah, very, very light. Like you got to squint and have
Yeah.
like a magnifying glass, and then you can see it. But yeah, he can do a lot of different things, but he just doesn't play enough. Like he's just not on the field enough, and that's the unfortunate part. But yeah, and especially because even when he's on the field this season, at least he hasn't done anything. Like Jonah Ellis has legitimately looked better than he has. Jonah Ellis has looked like very good through the time that he's played, and Baron Browning he's just not there. It actually gives me like PTSD. Like when I watch him out there, he's wearing number 5 and he has the long dreads coming out of the helmet. I'm
No,
like,
I
that's Randy
know.
Gregory. Like that is Randy Gregory
It
right
has to
there.
be. Yeah.
And the
I
fact
miss
that
number
he,
56 Baron or whatever he was. Wasn't he
yeah,
56 or something? I miss
yeah,
that Browning.
56. Yeah. Bring back 56. Maybe it can change. Maybe it can
Yeah.
change.
Bring back the 50s, especially on the defensive line, man. I don't like the single
Yeah.
digit numbers on the line.
You got to be like you got to be a dog to
Yeah.
have a
Yeah.
single
But
digit
like,
number.
dude, like 99 goes so much harder than like
Yeah.
8. Like some defensive tackles were at 8. I'm like, come on, man.
Yeah.
Like Zach Allen at 99 or Dexter Lawrence at 99. That looks tough.
Yeah.
Anyways, whatever. Um, the Ravens game, I think they kind of have a shot because the Ravens defense is extremely suspect. They let up big plays every single week. 3 touchdowns and 330 yards to a guy that hasn't played in a long time with no Amari Cooper. They let up 31 to Tampa Bay, let up 38 to Cincinnati. They let up a lot of points. Let up a lot of big plays. And I think Sean Payton, we've seen it again, New Orleans and Carolina, but these guys are starting to finally be schemed open. Like it seemed like early on in the year, just nobody's getting open, sticky coverage
Yeah.
everywhere. But now, Peyton's getting his patented crossing routes coming over the field, and getting guys wide open. And I think this is a great, another great team to do that against. I think Knicks is going to have some chances to find open receivers. The thing with Baltimore's defense, though, is that they caused takeaways, and they should have won that Browns game. Kyle
Yeah.
Hamilton had an interception, like one of the easiest interceptions you'll see fall right through his hands. So if he makes that catch, the Ravens are 6-2. You're looking at it like, oh, they went in and beat a motivated Cleveland team at Cleveland. That's a pretty good win. But now you look at it as like, oh, the Ravens choked again, and their defense choked again. But that's kind of their whole thing. They're feast or famine. They either make the big play or give up a big play. And with Knicks, I like that he's only had one turnover over the past 4 or 5 weeks. Um, Coming into this game, that's a good sign. Um, Derrick Henry's going to be tough, obviously, but we can get to that side of the ball. But yeah, like, what do you think about the Broncos' offense going against this Ravens defense? I mean, they don't get any pressure either. Like, I think Bo Nix is going to have a clean pocket as well. Um,
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's going to depend like inside. I think inside they have some guys. Odefe always been good this season. He's probably been their best pass rusher. Um, Namdi Namdi Matabuki, he's been pretty good this season as well. But outside of that, they don't really have much on the defensive line. Roquan Smith is obviously the guy to watch for that defense. And yeah, I guess a rookie quarterback, it's he might have a really solid day in terms of baiting stuff over the middle. Um, but Bo doesn't really throw short or short stuff over the middle. He throws short stuff outside the numbers, and he throws digs and post routes and everything. Intermediate stuff is more over the middle, not the short stuff. So we'll see. Their run game has to be good though, because I still, yeah, I just said Bo Nix, he had his best game and he looked really good. He looked really confident, but it was against the Panthers and it was at home. On the road against, like you said, a feast or famine team, I still don't trust him to do that. And the run game has to be good. The run game looked bad against Carolina. That's the one issue that I've had with the game.
Yeah,
Like they like straight up bad. Javante Williams, after looking like he had caught a groove over the last few weeks, he looked slow. He looked straight like he looked out of shape. I don't think he is, obviously. I don't think it's possible to go out of shape in 10 days. But he looked like it.
right.
He just looked slow. He didn't look like himself. 17 carries, 44 yards, 2.6 2.6 average, a long of 9. Like he just did not look good at all. Jaleel McLaughlin looked better, 8 carries, 47 yards, so he was fine. But Javante has to have a good game. That front seven has or that front line has to get some sort of push uh, in front, because if they're able to lean on the run game a lot more, then it just makes the game so much easier, because you don't have to pray for a big play. You can take your time and go down. Sean Payne's not, specifically with his offense, he's not a big play guy. That's why last game was so surprising to me, the fact that they took so many shots. And it wasn't just when the game was out of reach. They were taking the shots early too. And yeah, that surprised me, but we'll see. We'll see what happens going into this one, because I think yeah, it all falls on the run game. They have to be able to run the ball. I think getting Cortland Sutton going was really huge. He obviously had a very good game, 8 catches, 100 yards, um, on 11 targets as well. Like that's by far, it's almost triple the next closest guy. Or sorry, excuse me. Um, it's triple the next closest leading receiver. Adam Trautman had 4 targets for 85 yards and a touchdown. But Cortland getting those 11 targets, making him a focal point of this offense has to be something going forward.
Yes.
You have to be able to get him involved. And he's got to be the go-to guy now. I don't think that there should never be another game again where he has 0 targets throughout the entire game. So run game and Cortland Sutton.
Yeah, I completely
What
agree.
I think
Like
happens.
let's make him like the for sure number one guy um to go to. I think, I feel like he kind of picked it up on that Broncos win streak last year that they had. That was kind of the time where it was like someone's getting a touchdown every single week.
Yeah.
And he was picking up his play. And I think, I don't know, maybe maybe winning just gives him more, like makes him play better. I don't know. Because it seems like if he plays well, the Broncos win. Or if the Broncos win, he plays well. So Marlon Humphrey and Nate Wiggins were both out against Cleveland. We'll see if they play this week, but that would be huge if both are out, to get Cortland going, because Humphrey's a shutdown guy. Wiggins has been like up and down this year, but he's got
Yeah.
great potential. 9 point
Yeah.
spread. I feel like it should be. I mean, but
I think that's
defensively,
fair.
yeah, yeah. I
I feel
mean,
like
it is
9 is
fair.
fair.
Like, but defensively against Baltimore, be interesting because the Broncos haven't seen a running quarterback really like whatsoever. Um,
No.
this year, nobody even close. Um,
I think Gino's the only.
yeah, and he ran for like
Well,
a
I mean, they
30
had
something.
Fields, but like Fields was they kind of contained him. Like he didn't
Yeah.
run that much. Yeah, Lamar is he's the only like dual threat that they've played. I think that's a good way to put it.
And they're obviously the best running team that they've played. Um, it'll be interesting to see how the linebackers play in this game, because since Singleton's gone out, like guys like Sternad have stepped up, even though like it seems like the past 2 weeks I haven't really seen him out there. Um, but he stepped up. Quan Alexander has stepped up. Cody Barton obviously had that huge game on Thursday, but I wonder how they're going to do against Derrick Henry. Can they bring him down? Or will he just like truck through everybody? We'll see.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, like historically, they've been really good against Derrick Henry.
yeah.
But I think that's like the Vic Fangio team. This is a completely different scheme against him. Yeah, I don't know. That's a Like he just terrifies me, man. Like the fact that he gets any sort if he gets past the second level, like I it's
Dude,
unless you get invisible on him, he's gone.
it's
Like
unbelievable. I mean, he's really like it's the most downhill guy that I've ever seen in my
yeah,
life. I mean, that's all it looks like is just somebody a truck run like going downhill. You can't stop it. I mean, and it just he just picks up speed and speed and speed. It's so wild to see. But yeah, if you don't let him do that, though, he's not the type of guy that's going to make somebody miss in the backfield. He's not the type of guy that's going to turn 0 yards into, three. He usually just goes down right away if you get him before he gets going started. So,
yeah.
linebackers got to shoot the gaps and get in there quickly. Zach Allen, he's just so amazing, man. The way he sheds guys off of him, I think will just
But
open up so many lanes for the linebackers to come shooting through and hit Henry, hopefully.
that our
Um,
meeting will end in 10 minutes. It's doing the thing again.
what?
Like
No
so
way,
long.
it's back.
It's back. God dang it. Wait, shall we just restart it? Okay, hold on. We'll just end it and we'll just do the Nuggets separately, real quick.
All right, good. That sounds good.
Yeah, okay, finish Derrick Henry or Zach
Um,
Allen.
Yeah, I mean, sheesh. And I want to see how Sertan does against Flowers or whoever's on Flowers, like a little speedster guy like that. We also have like it's a lot of
Yeah,
guys that the Broncos defense hasn't really seen yet. Maybe the closest guy is Garrett Wilson, and I mean, Sertan did a heck of a job on him. So,
yeah,
um,
yeah.
but
I
yeah,
was gonna bring that up too. Zay Flowers is the matchup I guess that I'm really looking at. Like obviously Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson, you have to think about them, but like Zay Flowers, he's gonna have a matchup against either McMillan or Riley Moss. I don't think this is a game where Sertan follows him
yeah. TJ
because
Watt just had a strip sack. I mean, just knocked it right out of Jones' hands. Uh,
uh, like
They were
I don't
driving
think
too. Damn.
I don't think that Sertan because Sertan's not like a speed corner. He's a technique corner. Like he will stick with you. He'll mimic what you're doing really, really well. And he's physical. Like he'll get into you. You can't do that with speed guys, especially one like Zay Flowers, where you could just run him on a drag route. And he's going to beat Sertan every single time. So you can't shadow him like that. It just has to be one side of the field.
Maybe though,
Um,
you just got to be physical with them, like hit them right
yeah,
off the line. Like that's the thing with like Xavier Worthy. Any slight bit of contact, I mean, it's just over for him. Like he doesn't catch the
yeah,
ball at all. Zay Flowers is a lot stronger, but maybe like you know something like that. Just be more physical with him and knock him a little off balance. I guess I don't know.
yeah. It'll. Yeah, that's kind of the matchup to me to watch. Like, yeah, like I said, Derrick Henry Lamar, that run game is that has to be priority number one. But you let Lamar get going specifically to Zay Flowers. That's going to be almost impossible to stop. So they have to figure out a way to do both of those. Um, yeah, this is a game where I don't necessarily like putting pressure as well. Like I know Vance sends pressure a lot, but yeah, honestly though against Carolina he didn't do it that much. He hasn't been doing it too much. The front four has been getting pressure pretty quickly, like specifically like I mentioned, Zach Allen's been doing it well. Nick Bonito sack in 6 straight games. They've been doing it by themselves. I think they got to do that again this time. Um, I think you load the box, but they don't send pressure because I think Lamar he's so good against the blitz, and you send the blitz specifically against a guy as elusive as him. He gets outside the pocket, like you
Yeah.
might not catch him.
Well, and that's what I'm thinking too with the man coverage that the Broncos run. They run so much man where it's like that spy, there's got to be a spy there and he's got to be on top of it. And then also with the Zay Flowers thing, as you said, like if he catches a drag route against man coverage, I mean, he's gone. So you just got to be, uh, whatever the word is, just, sound, I guess.
Yeah,
Not super aggressive. I would say, uh,
yeah.
yeah,
I also think that this Ravens team, and we talked about it at the beginning of the season too, a lot of times they will kind of just play into their own mistakes. Like
yeah.
it just happened. Like I don't know what it is. They're a very good team, but they will straight up just play into their own mistakes. Like they'll get in their own way a lot of the time. So I look at that and I'm like, okay, as long as Denver is able to hang with them late in the games, then they have an opportunity. They have an opportunity to win. So we'll see. I mean, this is the biggest game that Denver's played in a while. They have Romo and Nance on the call. I think for the first time
Ooh,
since
dang, that never
2019.
happens. It's
Yeah,
always the
it's been a.
Chiefs, bro.
I know it's been a while. It's been a
Wow.
while. Chiefs might be on a bye.
Oh, probably.
They might be.
Are they
Well,
going to
wait, no.
announce the Chiefs game next week then? Broncos Chiefs.
Well, I honestly think they probably will. Hold on, let me check if the Chiefs are on a bye. Because now that I think about it, I don't think they are. I think they already had their bye. Week 9, or the Chiefs are on
Yeah,
prime time.
they've
Oh,
already
they're on
had their
prime time. They
bye.
play Monday. They play Monday. Okay, that's why. But regardless, still, like once again, this is the biggest game that Denver's had in a long, long time. Um, just hoping they don't get blown out. Just hoping they don't get blown out. I don't expect them to win. I think the -9 spread is pretty good. Um, I think this game can stay close, and I think the Ravens can probably get a touchdown late to kind of seal it off, and Denver tries to respond, or they're down like 11 or something late in the game, and they get a field goal to cut it to 8, and then can't get the onside kick, something like that. I feel like that can happen. But I will say, like, this feels like a game where Denver's just going to lose. But that also was the Jets game. That Jets game, I have never
Yeah,
been more confident in my life that
I
Aaron
know,
Rodgers was
same.
going to drive down and score a touchdown or get them and make the field goal. Like, I was so confident, and it didn't happen. So this could just be a different Broncos team. Um, we'll see. Maybe they are the Texans. We were talking. They went 0-2. We're like, they're not the Texans. Maybe they're the Texans.
I know. I was thinking that, but there's just such a different team. It's like the Texans last year was just bombed in Nico Collins, bombed to Tank Dell. And this team is like the complete opposite, except that like the rookie quarterback is playing really well. The defense flies off. I mean, the Broncos defense is better, but they're two
Oh
like
yeah,
opposite teams, but kind of in similar situations, I guess. Like potential sneaking in the playoff and just lose first round with a rookie quarterback
yeah,
situation.
yeah. Because they're not winning the division. The Chiefs are gaining steam. They're playing better over the last few games, so they're not winning the division.
Can they just? I just like have been praying every single week that they just lose one game because I'm like, if they just lose one game and the Broncos go in there and win, and then all of a sudden they're just like one game behind
Yeah,
or
just
half a
one
game
game back.
behind, I'm like, can just one of these teams? And then I'm watching the Raiders game and they like are at the 1 inch line for four straight downs and can't get it in. I'm like, bro, what am I watching? Right after a Mahomes interception.
Yeah,
Um, I mean, that's a defensive team, man. Their defense is insane.
yeah.
Uh,
Their defense is really really good. Um,
but
Mahomes. I mean, Kelsey had his
yeah,
first good game of the season as well, so we'll see what happens. Denver has to focus on the Ravens though. That's going to be a really really rough game. Uh, we'll see. It's probably going to be the first like actual cold weather game as well that Bo has played. Every game in
yeah,
Denver has been like beautiful weather. Every game on the road. I mean, that Jets game was awful weather, but it was warm. It wasn't like cold or anything.
right.
So we'll see. I mean, he couldn't grip the ball when it was wet. Can he grip it when it's cold? We'll see.
He
That
better.
actually is
I
a
mean,
big
he
concern.
better.
But
Yeah.
we'll see. We'll see what happens. We have to stop this one, but we will talk about the Nuggets. I'm gonna restart the stream. I don't know why Zoom is doing this again. Maybe my ASU account finally ran out.
Oh,
6 months after my
yeah,
graduation.
yeah.
So we will start a Nugget stream in like 2 minutes. So thank you guys for watching. Peace. Oh my god, where's the stop button?